had the privilege of interviewing the co-founder of Netflix and the co-founder of Fireflies AI.
You have made this into more of a brand than just a podcast, a community. It's something that people can be actually a part of.
Our community wants connection. They want to go deeper into not just stories, but actually learning from each other.
When we launched the retreat, we kind of saw something happen, and that was that everyone was just dying to be on the wait list. A lot of the things that I'm doing for the podcast is directly translated from what a brand would do, selling their products. And you are selling digital assets.
If they've got a podcast, they want to start a mailing list, what kind of things should they include? Carmel and Hannah, welcome to How Do I Podcast?
Thank you.
Hi,
Thanks for having us.
us.
First time on a podcast together.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Oh my gosh,
how
you
exciting.
guys.
Without us interviewing, obviously.
How
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
This is so cool. And I'm so excited about what we're talking about today because we've been talking before we jumped on mic. I've gone down like a deep dive looking at the community that you've built. And the one thing that we've already referenced so much as well is that your podcast is different to a lot of podcasts that are out there. And we're going to talk about what the podcast is. But I feel like you've built a podcast for your community rather than building a community for your podcast or building a podcast because you want a community, which is really cool. So the podcast is Humble Brags. If someone hasn't heard about it before, can you tell us what's it about? Who do you talk to and what kind of conversations are you having?
Absolutely. Well, we are an e-commerce podcast because Hannah and myself are both in the e-commerce industry. So it's a nice little niche that we've carved out. And we interview amazing founders. It started with brilliant Australian founders, but now it has gone global. So we interview founders who have started and scaling a business to understand the journey behind being a founder personally and as well as within their business.
Yeah. And typically we like to go deeper on the how you built it side of things. We found that was a real niche that was lacking when we're talking about founder stories in particular. So often it was kept very high level and, you know, we're lucky to attend a lot of different events and panels and know these people personally. And we wanted that relaxed environment where we could go a little deeper.
Yeah, and ask the questions that people actually want the answers
Yes,
to. They're
exactly.
like, yeah, but how much did you make? Like, what actually happened behind the scenes? Which I think is such an interesting conversation that people are just craving. You touched on there as well. You guys have incredible lives outside of these podcasts. Can you tell us about them as well? Carmel, we'll start with you.
Sure. So I'm a marketing consultant. So I've been in many different areas of e-commerce. I've been like agency side and tech side and brand side, but now I always say I get to work with people that I love and companies that I love now, which is really cool. One of my like major clients is B2C furniture. So I do all of the marketing. It's in a beautiful furniture brand.
Love their stuff.
Yeah. We love.
Yeah.
So good.
And I'm also about to launch a brand next year. It's still a little bit hush and secret, but it's in the wellness space.
Oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. When you see someone who's good at marketing go and do a brand, you're like, oh, I just can't wait for the campaigns. Like, I can't wait to see what comes out of it. So it's
just
pretty
you
exciting.
wait.
And Hannah, what have you got on?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a million roles like Carmel. Don't know how she does it. Superwoman. I'm head of partnerships for Australia and New Zealand at Shopify. So I am so deep in the e-commerce community and space because that is quite literally my job, my full-time role. But I've got a team of 7. So keeps me very busy, very occupied. I do a lot of traveling. But before that, I've been in payment space. I've actually worked for a telco. I started my career as a lawyer, so have kind of had this very interesting career trajectory, which I think does add to the podcast because it kind of gives a different perspective, and sometimes it means that I do also go on tangents because I'm like, I'm just really curious. What did you think of that over there?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my kind of career history has helped that.
Definitely.
Curiosity.
And I think when I was looking at shows in Sydney, then people that I wanted to interview and looking at you guys, that is the reason that I wanted to get you both on, is because the show is amazing. What you are building is incredible.
Thank
like
you.
The community. When I started looking at the connection in that community, you've built something really special, but also you're such incredibly smart people. And I know that anyone who's wanting to start or grow a podcast can learn so much from you guys in the world outside of the podcasting world as well.
Thank you.
Sweet of you.
It's really cool. So tell me, early days, way back when you were doing like monthly episodes to start off with, I think I saw. Yep, perfect. Who was the first big guest that you got on?
Ooh,
That's
it's so hard for us to know because I'd say the first 20 episodes, they were all our friends. So they are incredible founders, but they're all our friends. So it's really hard to pinpoint. Like we've had, Priscilla is the founder of Bang & Body, which is amazing.
Rachel Wild
from TBH.
TBC.
TBH
Skincare.
Skincare.
So I was like, TBC? Who is TBC?
Yes, that's
TBH Skincare.
Yeah.
I want to say Priscilla. Like I had a lot of people even reaching out to me being like, this was an amazing episode. I love that. And I feel as though
well, then Anita as well.
Anita.
She's got such a huge following.
And we really went deep in that episode. Like we uncovered a lot about her history and why she does what she does. And I think that was definitely a special one too.
Yeah. Well, then we did Raquel from Who Was Elijah and the Swish Girl. Like there's been
so many.
I know.
It's hard to pick. We can't pick.
Yeah.
No, it's like picking a favorite child.
But I think it's really cool. When you go out and choose guests then, like let's go straight into the nitty-gritty. When you're going out to choose guests, you've mentioned that they're your friends. When you're looking now, do you have some specific criteria that you're looking for someone to be a guest on the show?
Yeah, we want someone who obviously has an incredible brand and an amazing story. And like, I think it's really great when they have a topic that they're really passionate about or something that they speak to quite deeply, because we know that will make for an interesting conversation, or just have like a super interesting founder story. So why did they start? How did they start? What's the problem that they're fixing?
Yeah, it's so easy for us to just like, I think in general, and a lot of podcasts I listen to, it's almost like the guests have linear trajectories, right? Everything's just been, and that, not saying that that's boring, but I think naturally we've gravitated towards founders who have had quite interesting journeys to their success. And that's, I think helped with creating great hooks, great guests, great episodes. I don't want to say that's the primary thing that we look at, but I definitely think it's been naturally something that we've fallen into.
And a good speaker. It actually is very important.
Such a difference. You'd be surprised. Like so many people are like, this person is incredible, and they get them behind a mic, and if it's not something they regularly do, it is like intimidating to have this thing in your face.
I agree.
Yeah,
we find that often. And look, I do think in general we've been pretty good with getting great speakers, but there are times when you're like, this probably isn't.
Well, I think people also say that we create an environment that is super relaxed and conversational, and we always say nothing's off limits. We just want to have fun, and the conversation feels like they forget that there's a camera in front of them. So I think that's also a really nice point of difference with our podcast, that everyone feels relaxed and comfortable.
Let's talk about that, like the pre-show stuff that you do, because that's something that not a lot of people talk about, and you guys probably do instinctively without even realizing that you're doing it. But what are some of those things that you do to get people relaxed and in the zone like that?
So we'll make sure to send them the questions at least a week in advance. And we always ask them if there's anything that's off limits, because we want to make sure that they're not uncomfortable or worried that they come and maybe on edge that there's something that they don't want to talk about. So it's really good to clear the air and make sure, okay, so what's something you can talk about, anything that you can't talk about, super important. And then we don't jump, like I said, some of them we've kind of met before, so we might have the rapport, but even if we haven't, I'm always telling Hannah to stop talking, and we need to record now, but it actually helps, because we're just outside the podcast studio having a chat for a while, and I think that really like helps as well.
It does. And our demeanor, we're pretty relaxed. Like we don't come in with the energy of being very uptight, and it's always quite intuitive and instinctual, in that we just want to start conversation and we approach it with a real curiosity, which I think brands like. But that's probably we really try not to overcomplicate it.
Yeah, which I think is good. And a lot of that, as I said, like so much of that is just naturally who you are as people, but people just don't. Welcome to being in a hotel life, guys.
I love it.
Behind the scenes.
Housekeeping.
They'll be like, what are you doing? Do you know coming to hotels with all this camera gear?
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, hi, Emily fan.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
So we purposely just bring suitcases now, and we shove all of this into suitcases. But in Melbourne, Nick wasn't there, so I had to film with a videographer, and she had like all her Pelican cases, and they're like, do you have permission to film here? I was like, we're filming a podcast. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, what's up? Anyway. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So so much of that will be just instinctively who you are. But I do think if you are starting a podcast, just thinking about that, like what are some of those things that you can do to set the tone of the show? Because that is so important. You mentioned before, even talking about topics that people necessarily don't talk about in other places and things that you're genuinely curious about? What sort of other things do you do for prep? Because this is something that we've learnt something from every guest that we've spoken to about.
We like to make sure we know something interesting about them so we can bring it up, something that they wouldn't think to bring up on their own. So go a little bit deeper and say, hey, we noticed that in this article you quoted this, or this happened in your life, or I didn't realize that the business was actually started by your uncle, or just like bringing up a topic that we know is interesting that they might not naturally pick up on themselves.
Yeah.
I think that definitely helps.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely the key. We try and find publicly available information or information that we just know offhand, and use that as almost like an anchor to get them thinking about what they can talk about, or an interesting story that stems from it. And often that's a great springboard to the conversation as well.
I have to say our rapid fire questions I think are also fantastic.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to think too much and they just say the first thing that comes to their mind. And I think people really like listening to that, and it gets a really good insight into their personality.
Yeah. Because I think that's the thing. We definitely talk about brand stories, founder journeys, but we also want to touch on, well, what makes you as a human unique?
Yeah.
And that's where the rapid fires help kind of uncover who they are in more depth.
I remember there was this trend years ago in podcasting when we were still all audio only as well. And everyone used to like start with the icebreaker of, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a strange thing to have in a podcast, but it reminded you that they were actually human.
Yeah.
And that like regardless of this crazy person and all that they'd achieved, it's like, oh, they still had breakfast the same as us. So
I kind of like that.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like back in the day, Shameless used to do it in their like guest episodes.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, which was really cool. Speaking of guests though, the reason I wanted to lead with that is because you guys have just come back from New York as we're recording, which is amazing. And I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about the live shows and the things that you're doing there, as well as the retreats. But I want to also talk about the live podcast episode you did in New York. So for anyone who didn't see this, tell us about it. What happened?
Well, we went to San Francisco and we had the privilege of interviewing the co-founder of Netflix and the co-founder of Fireflies AI. So this happened again, like it's an amazing network that we have. We have a friend, Felicia, who owns a PR agency. She was in San Francisco, wanted to do an event around this, a massive event called TechCrunch. So lots of tech people are in town during that time, and we just jumped on it. We're very good at that, jumping at any opportunity.
Yeah.
So we said, hey, we're going to come to the States. We're going to make a whole campaign out of it. And I know it sounds a bit random, but I knew the co-founder of Netflix from a previous life and a previous work.
Yeah.
He came to Sydney to speak at an event that I was running. So I had his number. So I hit him up and he said yes. And so we did that and it was incredible.
How cool.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I also think like co-founder of Netflix, co-founder of Fireflies are a little bit different to the usual guests that we have on. But actually, I think we both really enjoyed it because it gave us insight into almost a different line of questioning, and will also be a great, addition to who we've already got on the show. So that was also
they're
awesome
real
experience.
thought leaders.
Yeah.
Global
Definitely.
thought leaders, which is a little bit different to what we've been doing. It
Definitely.
was amazing. We had some Wi-Fi technical difficulties.
Podcasting life, always.
It's just stressful. But I think when we were talking about before of how to make people feel relaxed, people pick up on your energy. So even when there's something going wrong, we remained really calm. And so everyone else was calm. And that's the key.
Yeah. And we kind of cracked a few jokes, I think, along the way, which, out of an awkward situation kind of came a lot of great conversations afterwards. So, but that was definitely a highlight. That was San Francisco.
Yeah.
New York, we didn't do live podcasts, but we did interview some amazing US founders of brands who I didn't know them before, but in terms of their presence across the US in particular, honestly, it was a different vibe over there. We're talking about this. Like they're so motivated and so hungry for like winning and growing, but also supporting other brands. Like that was one thing I think that we noticed from interviewing founders in New York in particular.
Yeah.
I think doing it like when you have that opportunity to do it in person as well, it's just such a different energy. Like to be able to be in the
100%.
room with someone and have that chat before and after the podcast as well. I always recommend it. It's not always possible, but if you can get over there.
We try not to do any remote anymore. I think we've done like one.
I think
and then
it was like
said no. Yeah, always in person.
Yeah, so much more fun. And logistically, a nightmare, but so much more fun when you can do it.
Yeah.
Correct. And it definitely, I just don't think it translates. And I know it's the easier thing to do, but sometimes the easy thing isn't always the right thing. And particularly for podcasting, in person just makes so much of a difference.
Especially for our brand, because we are all about building the community. And we want to keep that aligned in every episode that we do. So the face-to-face rapport is very important.
Let's talk about the brand itself, because I think this has been an evolution. Even just scrolling through your Instagram page, you can see there was like the new website that came and the whole feed changed with it. And it was really cool. And you've got the merch and things like that. For anyone who hasn't seen this, I'd love you to talk about like the elements that you have that have made this into more of a brand than just a podcast, a community. It's something that people can be actually a part of.
I think what catapulted it into being a brand was the physical aspect. So the retreat is a signature event that made us go, okay, this is actually a whole beast on its own, because we were able to pull that together. Before the retreat, we did some founder dinners as well, where we would get some founders and our podcast listeners could purchase tickets to come and meet the founder and have dinner with them, which was amazing. Then when we launched the retreat, we kind of saw something happen, and that was that everyone was just dying to be on the wait list and wanted to come to the retreat. And we were doing something that was different and cool and fresh. And we thought, okay, our brand needs to reflect this now. And we need to have a proper setup. That's when we set Humble Brags up as a proper company. And we've gotten way more partners on board now. We have a strategy going into the year. And with that, we thought, okay, we want our personalities to be reflected in that as well. Hannah and I are both super passionate about health and fitness, about, style and aesthetic. So then we just did a whole revamp of the whole brand.
Yeah. I also think like you and I we want to evolve. And we want the brand to evolve as well. So we've never been really attached to certain things. And so we've always been very much like, hey, let's have an open conversation. What's working, what isn't? Let's evolve with where we think the brand is going. And I do think that's important, because a lot of people get so attached to what maybe the original concept was that they're not willing to lean into that growth aspect of it. And I definitely do think the retreats were that line in the sand of us being like, okay, we're naturally evolving as a brand. How are we thinking about our audience and who we want to be to that audience and evolving with it? So that's the other thing. We've got that mindset of like grow, think differently, think bigger, which I think helps.
Definitely. Let's talk about like where this is all going to, because I think we've dove into this, and some people are like, wait, hang on, what? Retreats? They're doing a live podcast, you're going and doing events, like you've got this like, okay, let's wind it all back for someone who's come to this and they're thinking, okay, these people have a podcast and now they're learning you have all of the other stuff. Maybe let's talk about what all of the elements are so that everyone can see like what you have grown just like a community, because a lot of people will start a podcast or start a community and that's where it stops. There's not all these other touch points that you guys have gone and built. Back of it.
I think what's caused it is we interview amazing founders. People are listening to their stories. We have a lot of our listeners are either marketers within a business, interested in starting their own brand, have started their own brand, or founders. And they want more than to just listen to a podcast. They want to learn more from these incredible founders. They want their mentorship. They just want to be in their network. So we did that with the founder dinner. So that is a big element of Humble Brags, is the community and events. So what we're doing is we're bringing together like-minded people in the community to meet our guests, but also just to form a community more in general around business and e-commerce.
I think like taking them on the journey of like you started off with the founder dinners and then you added this on and then you added that on and added that, because again, like people just don't think about this stuff. Like they're just like, cool, I got a podcast, and like their mind isn't even open to all the stuff that you guys are doing. Which I think is really cool.
I also think it's come from feedback. Our community wants connection. They want to go deeper into not just stories, but actually learning from each other. And so for us, it was around, well, what is a natural evolution to create a space and time and moment in order to bridge that connection in every touch point that person might have across their own journey. And so that's, I think that's where that all kind of fell into place. Like the podcast was quite literally us having a conversation, Carmel meeting the founder of a studio and basically dragging me into it, being like, let's do this. Like, we have got an opportunity because there's nothing like this in the market. From there, we met an amazing group of people who are not just our friends. We learned from them. We met a lot of people through it. We grew our presence across the e-commerce community as well as online. And from there, it was like, well, okay, this is a snapshot and a moment in time. You know, somebody might listen to a podcast and go, well, that's great, but how can I actually have that opportunity to bounce ideas and to think bigger and to think broader and know that somebody else is there that's experiencing the same challenges as me in that moment? And that's where the dinners came kind of into it in order to encourage that deeper connection and that conversation. The retreats, honestly, were your brainchild, basically around, you heard a lot of feedback that people want the space to stop and to, these founders are exhausted. They want to learn from one another, but they also need that space to think bigger and to think about working on their business as opposed to in their business. And so that's kind of where it all evolved from. So you see how it's a natural evolution, but ultimately connection is a thread that connects all of it.
Yeah.
And we always want to go bigger and better. So Hannah and I attend a lot of events in e-commerce. So we also know what is good and what is lacking as well. So we know that people are getting together to network because they want to, but they're not doing it in a particular way that we're doing it. Whereas we're coming from a very neutral, there's no agenda that we're pushing. A tech partner might be pushing their tech, or an agency or a media company. We're literally doing it for the sake of community. And that's why other people want to sponsor us and be a part of us, because we're very neutral. And I think we went from the founder dinners to the retreats, and we just want to keep doing bigger things, better things that people are not doing.
Yeah. And we're like very big on no sales pitch. This is a space for learning and a space to explore your curiosity and understanding how you can do things better. And so, we were having this conversation before around sponsors. We work with some amazing partners who are very aligned with our mission on helping educate and bringing people together, which I think is a crucial part of this as well, because people come and they want to come to our retreats. They want to listen to our podcast, not to be sold to. And so that's probably a key element as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, because getting a partner on and saying to them, hi, yes, I'd love you to be a partner, but I don't want you to sell. A lot of people will be like, how? How does this work? But you have had the most incredible partners on. Let's talk about how they came together and what you guys do to kind of bring them on the journey of what you're actually creating.
I think we've built trust in the industry just through us individually and the work that we've done over the years. So that helps a lot, that we have, I guess, that credibility and sort of authority within the industry to begin with. Then staying consistent with Humble Brags has been crucial. Sometimes we can't record every week or every month, but we've never given up. Like, we have busy periods, but it's been 3 years now and we're still running Humble Brags. A lot of people would do a little side hustle and it dies after a while. But I think because we genuinely love what we're doing and our dynamic as friends and co-hosts is amazing, that the spark never went away. So having that consistency, people trust us. They know we're not going anywhere. When we go out to partners, I mean, a lot of it has been inbound and they've come to us. But when we do go out to partners, we make sure that it's super aligned. I think my marketing lens comes on. And I'll be quite intentional with how we partner with them and say, I'll show them the value add instead of just saying, hey, partner, give us your cash, but you're not allowed to do a sales pitch. No, it's more like, we're putting together this experience and I believe that your branding aligns with this. And if it's a panel discussion topic or if it's a pop-up or an event, I will go deep into writing the session for them to show them how it aligns, rather than just sending out a pitch deck and say, hey, your brand aligns with what we're doing because of this. This is the idea I'm thinking of. What do you think? So that's how we've gone about it.
Yeah, which is different. I was saying to you before we started recording that my inbox gets flooded of like proactive pitches. But when I look through them, there's no consideration around actual brand alignment. There's no question about, well, what is your goals? What is your mission? Who are you targeting? Whereas we approach it very much from the lens of, we want make sure that we're aligned as two businesses, and we want to make sure that what we're doing is aligned to your overall goals, objectives, and strategy. And that, I think, is refreshing because a lot of these brands don't usually get that from this type of engagement. So
it's like an extension of their marketing team. That's what they see us as, because we're producing content for them. We're creating an event for them. So just as the process would be of them, thinking of a marketing campaign they are going to do, I know that we need to contribute that same level of ROI to them.
Yeah. And what are some examples of how they can be involved? So I know, like, when people think of podcasting in general, and whether this is an idea or something that you've actually done, but when people think of podcasting, they think of, oh, I'll just put an ad in my podcast from a brand. I'll get some money for it, or I'll run an event. I'll get someone to put, their name on the brochure. You guys don't do that. Like, as you said, you curate these experiences. Can you talk about some of the ways they can be involved?
Yeah. So they can sponsor the podcast. They usually like to come on themselves as the founder of their business, which is super aligned with us because we do interview founders. So they talk about their journey as a founder. Even if they are a solution provider, they still have a founder story. And I think they really love that because it's humanizing their brand, whether it's a tech company, it's a solution provider. We are humanizing them as a company. So they're able to come and sponsor and speak on the podcast, or they can put one of their customers on the show and they will advocate on their behalf. And I think what we do really well is ask the right questions where we can then take little short snippets out of that, and it's like an ad for them because they have a customer talking about their brand because we've prompted the right questions, and they can go and run with that content and use it however they like.
Yeah. I also think, and it's funny, I literally came from a session earlier on today with an AI expert talking about the future of content, the future of how content is going to play really nicely into discovery on, the new search engines. And what they were saying is podcast is so incredibly powerful because ultimately it's not around keywords anymore. It's around, well, if I'm a user on GPT asking a question, it's going to search the web for the most relatable answers based on the context of the question. If we've got sponsors just putting ads or snippets of keywords in our episodes, it's actually not really doing that much. Whereas what we try and do is really build the context around the brand, the experience. That's why having, the customers of these brands is so crucially important because it provides context on how they're using it, why they're using it, which I think in the new era of content and discovery is going to be incredibly powerful. So I think we've just naturally, because we are so invested in technology in particular and the ecosystem, we've naturally kind of just lent in that direction anyway. And it's been really rewarding, I think, for us as well as the brands that we work with.
Everyone is saying you need to start a podcast in 2026, but the real question is, should you? There is a big difference between starting a podcast and creating something that people cannot wait to tune into every single week, something that positions you as the go-to, and that is your number one source of lead gen and nurture. We've produced over 1,000 podcast episodes through our production house and landed every single one of our clients on the top charts. And so every single week since I've started this podcast, I have had people in my DMs asking, how can I work with you? And so I've decided to finally, in 2026, package up all of our sales psychology, all of the marketing, all of the things we do behind the scenes to turn your podcast into a business and a brand that people want to be a part of and make it something that you can follow and implement too. Now, this is a very small, select group of people that I will be working with. And if you would like to be a part of that, DM me LMP on Instagram. I'll pop it in the show notes as well. And we can talk about whether this is the right next step for you. And what is your audience when you have like customer episodes? What do your audience think of those?
I love it because it's a brand that they love and follow. For example, we just had a sponsorship and they brought on the brands Waterdrop, they brought on Kaz, and they brought on Okanui. 3 incredible brands and their founders. So for our listeners, it's actually not that different, which again is still so aligned with what we're doing as Humble Brags because we're not shoving anything down our listeners' throats. It's still really natural. It's still amazing brands.
I think that's the most important thing to take away from that because someone would be listening to this and they'll be like, that's a great idea. I'm going to go and do that. And it's like, well, hang on. Like, you've got to think about the purpose of your show and what you guys are building. And does this align? Does it actually add value? How can I still make this a conversation that even if I wasn't getting a benefit from it, it would still benefit my audience?
Yeah.
I think what's been amazing about our partnerships is we as Humble Brags are doing what we're doing regardless of if anyone is partnering with us or not, and our partners can come along the journey with us.
Yep.
We're not doing anything that's out of brand for us. It's like, this is our focus, this is what we're doing, and they see that and they want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I think we go deep into the how are you using the product or how are you using the solution, which is, no different to just say you're doing a beauty podcast, right? I don't want just words thrown in my face about a particular product. I want to understand how are you using it? What have you done that's different? So I actually think it's really transferable to a lot of different types of podcasts in that we're thinking authentically about building, again, the context and the experience.
Yeah. And I think in this, podcasting has so many facets of organization. So sometimes,
yes.
naturally, you'll even, I feel like I'll do some episodes and I'm like, oh, this should be an ad for a program, whatever we're talking about. Because I want to know, I'm genuinely curious, how do you organize yourself? What tools are you using? What are you doing? And, we'll run through those. So I think if you can find a vein that does that also is a sponsor, then, genius. With those partners, that's obviously a really great way to bring them in. Is there any other ways that people can kind of partner with you and work with you?
On our events.
Yeah.
So, for example, the retreat, we get sponsors and they basically, again, we're organizing the entire event. They are just there to be a part of the event. As we say, they're not allowed to do any sales pitches or anything like that. However, if there's a topic that aligns and they're able to speak on a panel discussion, they're welcome to. But the main thing is that they get access to our community through attending the event. And they love it because obviously we have a wellness focus. And when you're doing wellness activities together, everybody sort of drops their guard and it's a very vulnerable environment.
Yeah.
And our sponsors and partners are able to see how founders network, what topics they're talking about, what their challenges are, what they want to learn about. And that's the value that they get from sponsoring our events.
I just want to pause on that moment because so many people would never think to pitch a brand that way, right? They would be like, oh yeah, you'll get brand awareness, you'll get your name on this.
Yeah.
No one thinks in that way.
No, we're not for that. Also because we've been on that side. I'm on that side at the moment of we get pitched this shit all the time. And we're like, oh yeah, just another person, just another pitch, just another proposal. They all look the same. So we've really tried to flip the script and think differently around how we're engaging and bringing these two almost sides of the coin together.
Yeah, I think we understand our community. We know what they want. We know how to spoil them. So you're just trusting us to put that together and then you get the reputation of being involved in that.
Yeah. And you both have such incredible marketing and community focused minds as well, because with this rebrand came a whole heap of new content as well. And I think what you've done so beautifully that a lot of pages miss the mark on is provide a reason to follow you other than just having podcast clips. Because, if you're listening to the podcast, cool. Okay, well, maybe I've already seen that video, but also it might be the thing that drives me. But there's other reasons that people follow you. You can obviously go check it out if you haven't seen this already, but talk us through some of those that you've got on the page.
I love that you said that because I feel
I know exactly what you're thinking.
I know. Okay, because we meet weekly and we're like, what do we we are constantly how do we add more value? How do we add more value?
Yeah.
So, but I love that you
working. It is working.
I also you were just Carms and I are two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
She is so good at content. I like writing shit. Sorry, I swear, but
Are we allowed?
I'm not good on the camera. I don't know whether you've seen some clips where I've tried
She's not
and I'm
bad. She's actually
fine. I go into my overthinking brain.
Yeah.
And it probably is somewhat relatable because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that are like, how do I get started? Yeah. Have a co-host who really likes content because she's way better than it.
She's actually banned me from doing TikTok videos with our guests.
Really?
I know. She said we can't do it anymore.
I said you can do it with you.
I'm going to do it.
I'm just gonna stay out of it. So I am it is somewhat validating that you think it is worthwhile and meaningful because I'm like, oh, no one's gonna want to watch that. No one's gonna watch me.
I think though it is really hard because we are constantly our guests are who people want to hear from why would they want to hear from us? And we had to sort of go through that challenge. But I think we've come to realize that, we do have a lot to say as well. We've recorded only 2 so far, but we've done 2 solo episodes, but we know we need to do more of those because we do have things to talk about as well. But from a content perspective, we always want it to be entertaining and informative. For our industry, it's e-commerce, it's tech, it's retail. If there's anything interesting that we can contribute, we also have an email list and we try to send regular emails out and say something interesting in our email.
Yeah.
But it could be that we're reviewing a product or something like that. We're always trying to give back as much as we can.
Yeah, we've got so much more that we can do. Like, that's the exciting part of it as well. Now that we've built a really good solid base, we obviously want to grow our community, but also give back in a meaningful way and create content and build content that is providing value. So there's so many avenues and so much potential in terms of what the next year will bring.
It's such an important part of podcasting is growing your social reach. It's everything. That's the reason why people want to partner with you is your reach, but also your ability to create good content. And so we know that that's something we have to keep doing because we need people to want to tune in and hear what we're saying. That's when the partners come on board.
Yes. And email marketing, you just mentioned that. I think, guys, you need to go to your website. I sound like I'm a fangirl here, but I want to make this tactical as well. So the reason that I want you to go to the website is because when I jumped on there to do research, I got a pop-up that told me to go to your emailing list, and then it was in the footer, but then there was like this other little bubble that popped up when I went to another page that told me about it. I was like, this is everywhere. I can't miss it.
Sorry about
and I was
that.
like, I really need to know what's on this thing. But I haven't seen the additional pop-ups on a lot of pages as well. So I think that was really clever, and you do reference it a lot as well. If you were trying to give someone advice on like what should they do if they've got a podcast, they want to start a mailing list, what kind of things should they include in that mailing list? What kind of things should be going into any form of EDM or trying to create a community, email marketing community?
Operate as if you're a brand selling products. That would be my number one tip. Act as an e-commerce or a product brand, because a lot of the things that I'm doing for the podcast is directly translated from what a brand would do selling their products, and you are selling digital assets or whatever you're selling. So I would say the email pop-up is just a standard in e-commerce that everybody does, but to outside that sounds like really different. In your EDM, you have to make sure that you're saying something interesting for people not to unsubscribe. If you're trying to grow a community, is there a Slack group that you could create? Is there somewhere where you can host everybody if people want to connect with each other? Is there, for us, it's like, I know that people are really interested in our retreats. So in the emails, there's always a register your interest for the retreat because I know that's something that's going to keep coming up and keeping their attention.
Yeah, definitely. And what's the frequency and the cadency of what you send, like your emails that you send out?
Ideally, once a week. We're aiming for once a week.
World.
Yeah, it will be once a week moving forward, but it has been a little bit scattered.
Yeah. I think that this is an area that we're excited to build and grow because we see, again, the opportunity in sharing and creating authentic content around real topics that are happening within our space, which is quite niche, which is e-commerce. But yeah, it's definitely something that we're going to build over the next coming months.
And people really like that vlog style interaction. So in the emails, it's always very personal from Hannah and I. So our last email, hey guys, we just got back from the States, told them a little bit about our trip, because people want that personal interaction as well.
Yeah. And I think something you just referenced there, it's including something that potentially isn't on the podcast as well. Because if you're listening to the podcast and then you get the email and it's just a repeat of what's on the podcast, like what's the point of reading it? Unless I haven't listened.
Yeah, I mean, but everyone also has their different ways that they like to be communicated with. So some people just don't necessarily want to listen to a podcast. And so if you've got that, that Cliff Note version, whatever it might be, then it is a way of catering for 2 different types of people.
Yeah,
this is true.
Yeah, definitely. And that push to the episode, I think, is so important as well. It's like, okay, cool. Here's, the update, the TLDR of whatever you're talking about as well. Here's the episode. And I think that value add, everything that you guys have said has come back to, at the center of it, providing value.
Yes,
Which
totally.
Is there anything else that you can think of now that might be something that's that you do because of your e-commerce background that other people who have podcasts might not do?
We run ads, so obviously we boost some of our content, but I actually create ads as well from Meta Ad Center to push people to listen to our podcast, to sign up to our mailing list, or to purchase some of our merch. That's one thing. Ads. What else do we do that's e-commerce?
I think
focused?
it's also the questions that we ask.
Yeah.
They're very specific, and it comes from, interviewing hundreds of people, but also just our lived experience. And I do think that that is important. Like, we're really passionate about the industry that we're in, and that translates in the people we interview, but also the questions that we ask. I think that is probably a part of our niche that no one can, like, the advice is you need to make sure that you're going deep on an area that you're passionate about, because otherwise it just doesn't come across as authentically.
Our website is on Shopify.
Yeah.
Which is quite
convenient.
Different because
Yeah,
obviously
actually.
people usually use Shopify to sell products. And whilst we do have merch now, we didn't before, but we still built a website on Shopify because we wanted to have the option to grow in any way we wanted to. So that hosting our website on Shopify was obviously important to Hannah and I.
Yeah, but we've even got our podcast linked in there. So you can go directly to our podcast page. So there were, it was just a convenient way of having it all in one place, really.
Definitely. And gives you all those features that we spoke about. Like, they're built into Shopify. You don't need to go and code them and build them, which is really clever. You mentioned ads. Something that I love that I've seen that you guys do is billboards. But I am really curious, did they drive traffic? Did they do what you thought they would?
A little bit. I think what was the value in the billboards was the content that we created out of having a billboard.
Yeah.
So the hype, the perception. That was a partnership with an amazing digital billboard company called Cassie, who actually gifted us that billboard experience for us to create content, which was an awesome collaboration that we did. And for us, I think it was just a really nice moment for our community, people who follow us. It just made us, again, go to that next level because we're on billboards in Sydney and New York, and it's amazing. So I think another thing maybe that comes from our e-commerce background is it's not just about what you're doing, like that campaign itself or that episode or that content, but how are you showcasing all of these things? It's the content that you build around it. So creating the hype and the campaign and the behind the scenes and just making it like a moment for you.
Yeah. The number of people that ask me about that billboard.
Really? What do they ask you?
You were on a billboard. Oh my God.
You're like, yes, I was.
Yeah, literally, that's how it goes.
Oh my gosh.
And I think you're right. It's about the hype.
Yeah. And we've seen so many podcasters start to do it this year. And I think the first couple was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, billboards. Like, is this a thing? Is this what we're all doing here? I think it's a really cool way to get exposure, like, to different audiences, but I love the content piece of it as well. And on that, with events, like the way that you both approach podcasting, but also marketing events, when you think of an event, you've got this thing that you want people to come to, that they're giving your time. Sorry, hang on. They're giving their time to be part of an experience that you're creating. That kind of is like a podcast in that, people are giving up some of their time, their commute to choose to be with you. And so if you were to give someone advice around like, how can you get someone to go from seeing you on social media, seeing an ad, seeing a billboard, seeing something, to go and actually commit to spending time, what sort of content should they be creating? What sort of things should they be doing to encourage people to go and commit to that?
Thought leadership content is very important, and personal branding. So although you have a podcast, how is that attached to you and your personal brand? Why would people want to follow you as an individual and create content around yourself as well? So the reality of having a podcast, your data, what are you juggling? Like, people have other things going on. Often it's a side hustle. So what else are you doing? And what is the reality? I think that sort of content resonates really well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I also think we know who our audience is. Like, we've got a very clear, this is who we're speaking to. And so we have them in mind every time we're like brainstorming a guest or thinking about questions or, curating the events and the retreats. It's for a very specific listener. And so because of that, we've been able to really nail down what we think would add value and be that reason for why they spend an hour listening to us or 3 days with us at a retreat.
For our retreats, I survey every attendee before the retreat to understand what they want to learn about, and we make sure that the content is centered around that research of what they want to hear about. There's no point just guessing what they want to hear about. We're not at that level yet. We're not founders of those types of businesses, so it's so important to understand what they want before we give it to them.
That would be so powerful for the podcast as well, to have like that level of insight into like what are they actually struggling with.
Yeah.
And then making sure you're asking and answering those questions too.
Which is something you can do with e-commerce, questionnaires, surveys, incentivize that. If that's important to you, and it should be, like what do your listeners want to hear, then you can create questionnaires, whether it's through email marketing or a pop-up on your website or an ad, and you can ask for feedback and then incorporate that into your podcast strategy.
Definitely. Cool. What's been some of your favorite moments with the community since you've started?
I think we've said that the retreats have been incredible.
Unbelievable.
So nice. The trip to the States was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think, you know what, just seeing each other grow and evolve has been like, for me, such a gift because I love this woman so much. I think she's the best human ever. And so from a personal level, that's been great. Like doing something with your best friend is a bit special.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's just the evolution of it. I think when we first started this, I don't think we would have thought that it would be where it's at and evolve to where it's at.
Yeah.
And so that I think has been a beautiful thing to be part of, and I'm personally really proud of it.
Yeah, same. We had no idea what we were doing. And 3 years ago, podcasts weren't as popular as what they are now. And we were in a very traditional type of studio, which we still use.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with a brand. A podcast was a podcast and you just sort of listened to it. So I think, I agree. I think having a good co-host, if you do have a co-host, is very important. I think I'm so confident that like our dynamic is so great and is never going to dwindle. And just having that like security and that friendship and that authenticity is so important.
How do you split the roles between the two of you? It is a question we get asked every time we have a co-host.
It is Carmel 95%, Hannah 5%.
Good. It's recorded on air.
Do you know what? Like, obviously, because we are like such close friends, we're not like, we don't have any ego around who does what, and we don't say, oh, you did this, I do this, which is so important as well. Yeah. We just support each other as much as we can whenever we can. We're both very busy, and sometimes, like Hannah always says, she doesn't do that much, but sometimes me just picking up the phone and complaining about something means everything to me, and that's the contribution for the week.
Yeah. I'm like quite opinionated with some things. And I'm more of a wing it, like, oh yeah, just rock up and do the thing. And you've got that strategic marketing mind, but really you've been like your vision and your view. I've just been there as a support in order to bring it to life as best as I can. But
which is amazing as well. It's like in a marriage, you know how like if someone is you need that other person to support you in your marriage. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah,
with us. Like
we are quite literally married in that respect. I'm the CFO. I'm the controller of the money to be like, don't overspend. Like this is the structure. This is what we've got to go by.
Yeah,
and then but like most of the time, it's like, here's an idea. Here's a little seed. Let's make it flower.
You're basically the husband.
I'm the husband in this dynamic.
We've just figured it out.
Yeah.
This is
I know. Correct.
But you know what's really refreshing is most people expect and think that it has to be 50-50. And like, if they're doing this, then I have to do that. And I've seen so many people literally like their podcast has crumbled because they can't get that dynamic right. And it's like, well, hang on, this works really well for you guys.
Exactly.
And you're both adding value in your own ways, and you both have that shared vision of where you want this to go.
Yeah.
And like, if you're both happy, like something that I've loved that someone said to me a few years ago is it's not a problem until it's a problem for you.
Yeah.
And for you guys, like, it's working. So.
I like, let's say I had someone who wanted to give, 60, 70%. And then I like, but I don't work with them as well. I don't vibe with them. They're not a friend. Maybe their skill set clashes with my skill set. No, I don't want that. We complement each other very well. We're very relaxed. Like I said, no ego around anything. And we work to our advantages and our strengths.
Yeah. And I think it's also, everyone's got a time in their life. Like for me personally, I've been extraordinarily busy over the next year, but that'll probably quieten down a little bit as we move into 2026. So my capacity to add value, I'll be honest, it'll more than likely come from the content side of things. I'm not going to even pretend like my skill set is to have as great as a marketing mind as what Carmel does. And so we know each other's strengths and our weaknesses really, really well, and we play to that. So, we've just, that's where like you said, having a good co-host that understands the ebbs and flows of life and careers, but we equally want to support each other is crucially important.
Definitely. And I think if you don't have someone who is your best friend, that is something so important to sit down and just think about, like, where are our strengths? Where can we make this work? Which you guys have done really well.
Yeah.
Cool. Amazing. We have covered so much, so much. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? I've got a couple more things, but is there anything else that you want to talk about or cover you think that would be beneficial?
We've spoken about the retreats. We've spoken about the origin story. We've spoken about kind of really what's next as well. Partnerships, dynamics as like co-hosts. So I feel as though we've covered a lot of ground.
We've covered so much. It's been amazing. Okay, cool. What was the one thing that I wanted to go into with you guys? Oh, yes. Okay, cool. All right. Before we go into our mic drop moments, which are our rapid fire questions, they're not as fun as yours. I need to work on them. But something that I want to know is, what is next for you guys? Like, what is the big vision here? What's coming?
2026 is looking crazy, but what's next for us is more bespoke packages for our partners. We've just locked in a yearly sponsorship with an amazing tech company called Instant, who are with us exclusively for the whole year, which is a big deal for us as a podcast.
Oh, yes. Hello. Amazing deal. Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to do, I guess, more long-term partnerships with companies that we are align our brands together and tell a really beautiful story through a mix of content and events. So that's coming for next year. I think we'll definitely see more cool merch because we have these retreats and we like to gift them something, and we want merch that's cool. So we're definitely going to produce more merch.
And I think that'll give us the opportunity to also flex our skills in e-com and actually build a bit of a brand. Like, as you can see, I'm wearing our Stay Humble caps.
Wow.
We'll do more of these style, because actually these caps have been very popular. People love them. So,
as well as the conversation cards, which have been a hit as well.
Yes,
they've been amazing because it's quite niche to like business entrepreneurship, but then has that personal touch. So they've been amazing. We'll definitely do more things like that. And then I think we'll do a lot more of bringing our community together in a physical way. We still have our 2 retreats that are happening next year, but I think something that we do naturally is we love to eat, and we always get a group of girls in ecom together and have dinners, where we want to do that a lot more with the podcast and have intimate, amazing dinner experiences.
Like, think private chef, very intimate in this, this type of setting. Almost feels like you're with a group of girlfriends at home, really nice wine. That, again, on that thread of connection, I think is the best way to build long-term connection and friendships as well.
Definitely. And I'm going to pop your merch in the debrief as well, because I think like the merch, the name, like, again, you have e-commerce mind, so you've just done this naturally. But even if you just look at all the pieces, I think a lot of people starting any type of podcast, there's probably potential to do something really cool like that.
Yeah.
Like, think about how can you give these people an identity, and then how can you give them like literally physically something tangible that makes them feel like they're part of that, which is the community, the events, the Slack group, like everything that you guys have got, but then also like something on their head. Like, it's really cool, guys.
It's very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Cool.
so.
Amazing. All right, let's go into this. So, hang on before we do one more. All right. Last question for you as well that just came up. Partnerships. A lot of people, when they start delving into the world of partnerships, they're tainted by the industry standards, which if you look at like Nova radio partnerships, they look at like CPMs, which is like $11 per $1,000, which is terrible money. And it shocks me that that still happens for a lot of people, but that's the perception that they have. Are you comfortable sharing any of the kind of figures that people can lock in if they are intentional with what they're doing?
Do you mean how much people would give us to sponsor our shows? Yeah, we start at $2,500 per episode. Yeah, that's our starting point.
Yeah. But again, like Carmel said, we want to think about what is the brand's goals? How are we adding proper value? That it's less about the cost is obviously there, but we want to add real ROI, not just a kind of a pie in the sky number, respectfully. But that's where we've achieved that, right? Because we've curated these packages and actually thinking about long term, what's in it for the brand, what's in it for our listeners. So it's hard to put a number on
It's
that.
less about the numbers. It's more about the content we're creating for these brands, because if they were to go and do that themselves, it would cost a lot more than $2,500 to find someone. And if they're genuinely speaking about their company or their brand, and then, you know, the video crew, audio, editing, it's a big expense. So when you think of it like that, of outsourcing it to us is a lot cheaper. Also, I sell Hannah a lot.
Hi, yes, this is Hannah. She's very expensive.
Yes. Because she's obviously, Shopify is an amazing company to work for. There's so many people that want to partner with her. There are so many tech and apps that want Shopify to speak about them. And so they'll come to me and say, hey, like, if we sponsored, would that mean Hannah's going to talk about us? And I say, yeah, absolutely. Show me the money.
Just don't tell Shopify.
Yeah.
But no, and I think coming back to that value piece, like your events, if someone was going to do market research and go out and find, you know, a group of people, and I say this all the time to people as well, when you have a podcast, you have the most intimate niche audience that is so valuable. And like when we had our renovating podcast, we got like, you know, 5-figure offers to sponsor that podcast, because where else are you going to get like a targeted group of people that all want to renovate their house? Like it's so unique. And you've got that as well.
Exactly.
With the layers of the exact type of person and audience that you've cultivated, because that is so specific. So again, it's so valuable to a brand, but no one will actually think of that. They just go, oh, it's not worth it. Podcasting's not worth it because I'm only going to earn $11 for 1,000 downloads.
But again, I bring it back to this new world of AI. Like podcasting is going to be the biggest thing to sponsor, because that is actually how you can show up in search engines, the new type of search engines. So I'd kind of argue that I think that it's not going to be, that's traditional radio advertising, right?
Yeah.
This is the new form of advertising, which I think is exciting.
Also, I think the amplification of when they sponsor us and us amplifying the content, obviously we can boost on Instagram and whatnot, but LinkedIn is quite important to our community of business owners. And we post on our personal LinkedIn pages and we have followers personally. And that is a huge value add for people partnering with us.
Definitely. And that one piece of information, like choosing your channels and knowing where your audience are, is really important.
Yeah.
Cool. Amazing. We have covered so much today, guys. It has been amazing. Let's dive into our rapid fire super quickly. First question, it cannot be Diary of a CEO, is your answer. Okay. One thing. What is a podcast that is regularly on your rotation, and why do you keep coming back to it?
No, I only listen to Diary. I literally only listen to Diary. We went and saw him when he came to Sydney.
Yes.
Right. How good was it?
Yeah.
It was
We're
like
obsessed.
this big on the stage, but it was really good.
So I'll add two, because we're really good friends with Anita and Jess from Marketing ATM. I genuinely love what they're doing, and I think that is a great podcast, particularly if you're looking for inspiration for marketing and campaigns. They're really good friends of ours. Yeah. We know them personally and we absolutely love them. On the complete flip side, and again, this is probably a bit generic, but I've really been getting into Mel Robbins.
Oh, yes.
And I think that she's got some amazing insights, amazing nuggets that, like, I've just been really surprised at how much it's influenced the way I've been, my mindset, the way I've been working through my day-to-day. And so I think regardless of business or not business, I think that there's some amazing episodes there. The other one that I've been getting into is Your CEO Mentor.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
He's got a podcast,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's
They're huge in the States as well, that
it's
podcast.
Hey.
really good. I'm
Add
just
him to
about to do
list.
his course,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's another one that a few little sprinkles of.
We found them
Love it.
because they sponsored our retreat. And then when we got to know them, they're quite amazing.
Love that. We
Yeah.
always love a new recommendation because I am always looking for new content. So
Yeah.
that is really good. Cool. Who is your dream person to interview?
Oh, do you know, Emma Grede, I think she's
Of course.
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
amazing. I would also love to interview Kim Kardashian. I'm amazed with everything that she's built for herself from where she's come from.
Yeah.
That would be a very cool interview.
Yeah. I think the other one that I just like them as personalities are the co-founders of Array.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I think
Oh my
that they've
God.
got
Yeah.
they've
They're
got
so good.
just clearly good energy and good vibes. And I think that's generally what we gravitate towards
Yeah.
is who is interesting as a person and as a human, as well as building great brands. So, but yeah, I love Kimmy K. I think,
I mean, how could you
preach.
not?
Yeah.
How
You
could you
know?
not? If
Yeah.
we're speaking into existence now. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
amazing. Next trip to the States. So good. What do you think we're going to see more of in 2026?
More like content. We want to create amazing, meaningful, authentic content. I think that that's what our goal is, but I don't think that that is just individual to us. I think that we're going to see a lot more better, deeper content in general.
Entertaining as well, like entertaining content. I think we're going to see, or we spoke about this on our podcast, but AI also helping with podcasting and podcast production. I already use a few elements to help with podcast editing and whatnot, but I think we'll see more of that, which will make it more efficient and easier to start and scale a podcast. I think we're going to see more physical events, activations, and collaborations as well.
Yeah, people just want that in real life connection.
Yeah.
Love that. Best piece of advice you ever been given?
Everything that happens in life is a lesson or a blessing.
Such a good mindset.
So you think about it, half glass full, doesn't matter. And I think in terms of business context, a lot of shit happens, but you always learn from it.
Yeah.
So that's a piece of advice I was given very early on that's really served me well from a mindset perspective.
Mine's ask for forgiveness, not permission. I've always been a rebel at heart.
So good.
So when I heard that later on in life, someone that just validated my existence. And so I still love going by that.
Do you know, that is, we used to live on Hamilton Island a long time ago, and that is the entire way the whole island got built. Like the guy who was building a runway there, right? And he looked up how much the fine would be to get, like, if he got the runway there, and he was like, well, I'm just going to.
Exactly.
And I know there'll be so many people that are like, oh, he's destroying the environment, but it was a very nice place to live, and I really love Hamilton Island.
Yeah. Love it.
So there you go. Love that. And what is one last piece of advice that you would give anyone wanting to start or grow their podcast?
Just do it. There's never the right time. It's like having kids. You're never going to be ready. You just have to do it and learn as you go. And always remember that nobody cares about you as much as you think they do. So while you think you might look like an idiot or look like a fool, you're not that important. No one cares. Just do it. Like, we only have one life. Make the most of it.
Yeah.
Hard to follow. You're like,
no,
yes, agree.
I think it's true because honestly, if it wasn't for Carmel really, I don't want to say dragging, but pushing me, I'm an overthinker. Like I'm that person probably listening to this that's going, oh, but what if this? What if that? What if this doesn't work in the way, I'm like classic perfectionist type that it stops me from actually starting things. Don't be like me. That's it. Mic drop.
And look at what can happen. We will
Correct.
pop everything in the show notes, but where's the best place to connect with you and support you?
We're on Instagram, humblebrags_. Is that, we still call it an underscore? Feels so old school.
I know. It
Yeah,
does.
humblebrags_ or www.humblebrags.com.au.
And sign up to our mailing list.
Yes.
Because again, great content coming.
And stream us on any platform, searching Humble Brags Podcast.
Amazing. Don't miss the pop-up, guys. You won't.
Yeah, they won't.
So good. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been incredible.
Thank you
Thanks
for
so
having
much for
us.
having us.